All right, we're back again. This time we're on Draftkings. I just like to diversify my exposures. The reason I use both is A, I'm not sponsored, so if anybody wants to sponsor me, holla at your boy. But B, the exposures are slightly different, or the ADPs are slightly different. So you're able to get values on some players that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise. So it helps balance my exposures because I will go way too heavy into some people. But there's some free agency signings that we have not yet talked about, and we haven't drafted since last time. Kyler Murray to the Vikings. Got him in my dynasty bag. Check. Secure. From there, who else signed? Rashad White to the Commanders. I've taken a decent amount of him, so I'm not mad at that. They may draft Jeremiah Love. That is in the cards, but that is only if Jeremiah Love makes it to them or potentially if they trade up. So if we are looking here, how do I get the full board up on here? Let's go draft board. All right, here we go. Here we go. Any other major signings? There's a bunch of smaller ones that we haven't talked about. Jahan Dotson to the Falcons. Could be sneaky. Some sources that I trust like him there. He's got a lot more of a leash than potentially he had in the Philadelphia Eagles role. There's Kyle Pitts, there's Drake London. Outside of that, who's there? Olamide Zaccheaus? That's not necessarily great. But that's not really an important one. We're through most of the free agency signings. There's some small stuff, some defensive stuff, some trades that are all going on. But nothing that's super relevant. But wanted to get into this. This is a $10 one. We're finally in. We're at pick. I can't even see what pick I'm at. 9. I will say, right now I do like Underdog's interface a little bit more. All right, Jamar Chase 101. This is already vastly different than anything we've seen. Now, this could just be Greatest Judas being Greatest Judas. Or Judas. It's tough to say. I am interested to see. Let's look at the ADPs and how they align. Where is Jahmyr Gibbs? Why is he not on here? Oh, no. Why is Jahmyr... So they told me I had to set my rankings before I could play in this. So I accidentally think I excluded Jahmyr Gibbs. And I don't know how to re-find him. So that's going to be a problem. Fortunately, I'm pick 8, so that shouldn't matter. But I swear if he somehow made it to pick 8, and I could not... Okay, there we go. He's gone. But if I could not acquire him... How can I unexclude you, my dog? Whatever, I guess I'll just have to search him anytime. That's fine. All right, so besides the one-on-one, everything else is pretty standard. So going back to this Kyler Murray deal, though, it is an incredible value if he is anything like he was in the first 2 years, and he's going to have a much better supporting cast. We saw Marvin Harrison drop a plethora of passes. The connection was not there. It should be better with Justin Jefferson. We saw an offensive line that was pretty suspect. He's moving to a situation that's a lot better from a coaching staff perspective, from the wide receiver room, skill position perspective, outside of Trey McBride. And I would really love to know where you guys think that leaves the receiving core, TJ Hawkinson, and Kyler Murray himself. Now, Aaron Jones did resign, so him and Jordan Mason are now backed up in the air. But again, Aaron Jones is a year older. He still has value. He was leading it last year. It's probably going to be much more of a 50-50 or maybe even 60-40, I think, leaning towards Jordan Mason. And then, the injury bug. You can't ever really say, oh, this player's going to get injured this year. But if there was a guy that's going to miss at least 2 to 3 games, it'll be Aaron Jones. All right, who's available? How does... Don't show drafted. There we go. Amon-Ra goes. I probably will go James Cook. It's hard not to be super high on the Buffalo offense. They've gotten more skill positions as they should be. They're already in the red zone a lot. They've already got a more offensive-minded head coach. who has understanding of the players, trust of the players, knows what James Cook can do, and now they should be in the red zone even more often, and they're becoming more and more complete. I've liked what they've done. At 16, this could be interesting. You know I hate taking tight ends in this range. George Pickens at 14. What are we doing? Okay, so if I took best available, I probably will take Omarion Hampton here. They've just done so much. They've got Charlie Kolar, who's a pretty good blocking tight end. They've got Mike McDaniel. They've rebuffed the offensive line. The offensive line should come back. Skill position players still remain. It's just a hard not to, and I'm not that exposed to them, right? So when I can get them, what is that? 3 picks past ADP, 2 to 3 picks past ADP. I'll take that. Now I wish I took CD here so I could be a little bit more unique, but it's not like that's going to be an ununique combo anyway. So now that I've got 2 running backs out the gate, who are hopefully premier running backs, now I've got to start looking at receivers. I could, if I'm really crazy, if I'm really wild, go up to 1 more running back, but then I have to slam receivers. So I'm definitely looking at receivers in the next range. It seems like we got some crazy people in here. We'll see if there are any more reaches. I hope this guy continues to be crazy and gives me some values along the way, but time will tell. But doesn't matter what platform we're on. We talk about the balance. The balance stays the same. The only difference here is that now this is PPR and not half PPR, so receivers get a slight tick. But it's not enough, and maybe that should have been the discrepancy and the differentiator between taking CeeDee Lamb and James Cook. But again, this guy, he'll still catch something, but the PPR definitely evens the playing field, but he's just got so many touchdown opportunities. I really can't fathom Malik Neighbors at this range right now. To me, he's like a mid round 3 guy. Until like he's got the upside. It might be worth the shot on the upside, but there's just so much uncertainty going on right now. Chase Brown 21. Nobody has gotten any insane steals. Saquon's still there. Gibbs Saquon. That's pretty unique. That's a pretty good start. But now let's see if he balances it, right? You have to make an active effort once you've gone 2 separate RBs in a row to make sure that you stay balanced. I kind of like this start. These are all guys that I value above where their ADP's at. But now Jamar I didn't. But maybe he knows something I don't. There's a very good chance. I'm not incredibly tapped in. This guy could be incredibly tapped in with the Bengals. AJ Brown goes. This guy's looking Philly stack, even though this trade could happen potentially any day. But, I mean, in my opinion, he's probably, unless they get an egregious offer, which they might from a contender, but unless they get an egregious offer, he's going to be there probably until at least midseason. And if he's there until at least midseason, that stack would be worthwhile. But again, you're looking for weeks 16, 17. So if he's not performing and he gets traded, this team doesn't get eviscerated by any means, and it depends on the landing spot. The landing spot always matters, but that stack will no longer be there. Derrick Henry at 28 is crazy value. I know it's PPR, but still. So this guy did go receiver, though. Josh Allen off at 29. Who am I looking for here? I think everybody that I wanted from the higher tier is gone. I also do wish that this was still 20-second timers. I think underdogs pushing the envelope, setting innovations with a 20-second timer. 30, I just can't rack up as many, and I've got to have a longer time, a longer window, a longer leash for how much time I have to sit down. All right, who's up right now? Jacobs at 30. I would have loved him there. Nobody's screaming value at me. I'll probably end up with T. Higgins here if he doesn't get taken. And he does not. Tech McMillan goes. So I'll go T. There's maybe one or two other receivers in this tier that I'd still want. I think Buka goes 34. Zay Flowers, I was looking at him transparently. This guy's not afraid to take his guys because that's not an egregious reach, but it's still 6-7 picks before ADP. No, I hate that. So this guy did go 3 straight backs. So I want to see how he rebounds. Again, this is PPR. So going 3 straight backs, we talk about needing 3 receivers, 2 running backs through the first 6 rounds. You need those 3 receivers even more so in the PPR. So a rebound is going to be necessary. Now you do have a few more options with PPR scams as you go down. Lamar at 38, a little bit of a reach. Who do we have available? Brees. I might take Brees. I know I need receivers. I could go Javonte as well. Lad, I wouldn't be mad at. Actually, I really want to go Brees, but we do need receivers. This gives us a buy-in to the Los Angeles Chargers, who I think definitely have the upside to being a top 5 offense. And if these two are the catalyst, Omarion and Lad, and we control most of the touchdowns and we can get Justin Herbert, then we win, right? And what we want to do is correlate those bets. So if this is a top 5 offense, we want more and more pieces of that, especially the good pieces. And we have the 2 highest valued pieces. Brees goes. A little bit jealous. I did very much need the receiver, though. Like, I could have gone 2 more later, but it's just so much less flexibility. And I think there are guys that I have in a tier, maybe even up here for the 4th round, but definitely the 5th round, that I can get in the 6th that I want to make sure I have available. Or the option to take. All right, this guy better take a receiver, or he's Garrett Wilson. All right, he might be on auto. Garrett Wilson. You guys know if you've tuned in at all. I'm not touching Garrett Wilson this year. Probably damn near at all. I don't think he should be anywhere in this realm. I think he should be somewhere valued more down here, like a full round later. So I'll get him if he goes somewhere in the 5th round, perhaps. But like if he's going in the 4th or the 3rd, I'm not touching him. Javonte goes, good value. I have him maybe even a little bit more valuable than Brees. He's not getting paid the money, but I don't know who else would have that backfield. Jaden Blue is death. He's dead. I don't know if they're drafting anybody. They could draft somebody late, but they still have so much to work on the defensive side of the ball. They made a few free agency signings, I think, at linebacker, and I think maybe they got, I don't know if they got a D tackle or an edge, but their secondary is still eviscerated. So the top 2-3 picks should be still going there. This guy curves him of getting even more Philadelphia stack. I do like Chris Olave. I took so much of him last year in the 60s, 70s. I was probably at like 14% exposure to him. But this year at this price, I feel like he's not like far off of this price, this ADP. But I feel like there is a tier where maybe you don't have Olave. Olave should be going behind Derrick Henry, Allen, Jacobs. And I think these 3 guys, and Rashee Rice, who was taken before him, all just have such a higher ceiling as it currently stands that it makes it very difficult for me to take Olave. It's not just the 3 round or the 3 pick ADP drop. It's the tier break on. There feels like such different ceilings. Bashal Tutin 48 is gross. They're paying Chris Rodriguez the same amount that Tyler Algier is making. They're paying Chris Rodriguez the same amount that Javonte Williams is making. They're going to be giving him the ball. This is not going to be a cut and dry Bashal Tutin 70% backfield. This guy recovered absolutely phenomenally from the 2 RBs, which were great selections. Now, I don't know if I put Rome quite this high. Rome in zone is just problematic. It needs some stuff to work on. Is anybody looking crazy outside of this Bashal Tutin selection? People are willing to take their shots here, though. I feel like I'm seeing that more so than an underdog. Although maybe I'm just biased. Maybe it's just this lobby. But people are willing to go for their guys. It feels more Wild West out here. Now, maybe that's the UX also. It's tough to say. All right, who do we have available? We're still looking for a receiver. Jalen Waddle, much harder. Maybe I'll make a free agency video and talk about this. But Jalen Waddle, much harder to touch now that Malik Willis is there. We don't know what Bobby Sloak's going to do, but Malik Willis averages like 19, 20 pass attempts a game. Like, not enough for him to really, really be feasible. Now, the Browns did sign 3 offensive linemen in free agency. And they'll probably get more, but the linemen they got were not insanely high tiers. I could get Joe Burrow and match him up with... I have T, right? I have T. Yeah, I do. Is there any receiver that I want here? I think I'll do it. It's like they re-signed most of their offensive line. Their offensive line was much, much better than people gave it credit for last year. We've seen Joe Burrow. We've seen T. Higgins go nuclear. And more importantly, if Great Judas really does have this insider knowledge on Jamar Chase, that means Joe Burrow's cooking. All right, now I really need a receiver, but there's nobody in this range I'm especially moved by. And I do want to take DeAndre Swift, to be honest. Parker Washington going this high is absolutely insane. Oh, okay, maybe I'm happy for the 30-second timer. I think I'm going to end up going Carnell Tate. I don't want to. I could absolutely go Cortland Sutton. But we bet on rookies. And we need a receiver. I really wanted DeAndre Swift. But I do have 2 high-end running backs already. And if Carnell Tate does end up a Chief, and their offense is what we think it's going to be with the addition of Kenneth Walker, if Mahomes comes back healthy, Kelsey's going to be there, Rashee Rice is there, Xavier Worthy, even as a field stretcher. If they have that X receiver for Mahomes to go to, and they can implement it positively, especially in the red zone with some of those back shoulder fades or go up and grab it, down the stretch, when I want him in 15, 16, 17, that's when the dividends hit. Now, if he goes to somebody like the Giants, he could still have some good moments, but I will feel much more sad. Matt Nagy is not the offensive coordinator I want. I don't want to take that many Giants. I'll take Jackson Dart. I'll take Jackson Dart because he runs around, and I think those instincts are going to get him some points, but outside of that, So this guy's a little bit lighter receiver. Now if he takes 3 more, it's still pseudo-recoverable. I don't mind the values at which he got his RBs either. I think those are all good RB values. So Tyler Warren is one of those guys that I think is probably much more close to late round 4 than early round 6 with the departure of Michael Pittman. And again, he's probably going to be first or second in terms of target volume now. We'll see what Josh Downs can do and whatever jump he's going to have, but Tyler Warren should be the guy in a lot of senses. So it feels better that he didn't make it back to me because I would have had to still take Carnell Tate. This guy got his stack of Caleb Williams with Roma Dunze, Jaden Daniels with Terry McLaurin, Josh Allen with DJ Moore. People are starting their stacks. Lamar with Zay Flowers. This could be a Mike Gesicki angle for us in round 7. I have not touched Mike Gesicki one time this year. I probably don't really plan to. I think Eric All comes back, if I'm not mistaken. Back-to-back QBs. This is a little rich to take 2 QBs back-to-back. I mean, it's better than doing it in rounds 4 or 5 or 5 and 6. You still got some higher-end talent. This is great Drake May value. He's the other guy who I think is probably closer to this value than this value. Closer to the end of round 4 than early round 7. Trevor Lawrence goes. No stack there. No stack for Drake May either, unless they take Mekhi Lemon. But Drake May has a lot more options farther down. With Romeo Doubs, who I would not mind taking. Hunter Henry. All right, I'm up. Well. He's looking at me in the face. We're past pick 80. I can't stop taking this guy. Nobody should take Justin Herbert on the way back. I'm going DK Metcalf. Again, he's getting paid, what, like $30 million a year? Mike McCarthy take over. Their offense should be better with Pittman. They could draft somebody like Mekhi Lemon. They could continue to shirt up. They got Rico Dowdle. They have Jaylen Warren. They have a lot of weapons. Now, can Aaron Rodgers sustain those? I'm not as confident or comfortable in that, but I am willing to take a shot that their offense is better, which in turn should benefit DK Metcalf. All right, we are taking Justin Herbert. We're solidifying our stacks. This is probably a little bit earlier than I'd like to take 2 QBs, but we are done at quarterback. I'm not mad at it. This makes me feel a lot more secure. This guy finally goes his 3rd receiver with Jacoby Myers. But again, Jacoby Myers, who obviously feels like perennial, solid, overperforming, undervalued, underrated asset, but he does get older every damn year. It's not telling me quite how old he is right here. But can we go season to season here? Maybe not. Sam Laporta goes. There was no way he was making it back to me. I keep wanting to get more and more Sam Laporta. I think he's another guy who's probably a lot closer to, let's say, round 5, 6 than round 8. But I can never get him. I always want to get him like... I've had a lot of pick 2 and 3, and he always goes right here. His ADP is like here. But I never get him. He always goes before. People know. 3 key... Okay, this guy's dead. This guy's dead. This guy's dead. He needs some incredible values later on to recover from getting 3 QBs. His QB room's obviously elite, but you can only maximum start one of these guys. Even if you got 3 tight ends, at least you could potentially start 2 of them. You can only start maximum one of these guys. That is rough. This guy, you'll rarely hear me say it, and he'll probably still be fine, but maybe not. You'll rarely hear me say you've taken too many receivers. But 6 receivers through round 9, where you only have 2 running backs, and you took none of them in the first 3 rounds. You're sitting with Bashal Tutin and Travion Henderson. Now, if there is a position, somebody took Rondé Gadsden. Whatever. If there is a position you can recover, there's 2 of them. It would be running back, it would be tight end later in the draft that you can hit on some random darts. You can have some usable weeks. But is that ideal? Does it generally usually work? No. Tyler Shuck, pick 100. I'm very intrigued to see what Shuck does this year, just because he's kind of fast in a straight line, but he's not that mobile. He's not lateral. He's not agile. One of my favorite values. All right, who's available? So we may go... I think, here's my theory. One of 2 things is going to happen here. Either Tony Pollard gets to roll with Cam Ward. Their team hopefully should be a lot better. They're going to be at least a lot better on the defensive side of the ball, so hopefully they get better field possession and therefore better opportunities. Or Jeremiah Love is going to get drafted. They're cutting Tony Pollard, and then hopefully he signs with the Seahawks. They have Emmanuel Wilson, they have George Holani, they have Zach Charbonnet, they have nobody legitimate. And they could use somebody relatively legitimate. And if he goes to the Seahawks and he's their lead guy, even if he's only getting 50, 60%, maybe 60% of the work, 60% of the snaps, that's an offense I'm happy to do so. Because again, elite defense, they should have a lot more opportunity. Now, the other side of that coin is... Wait, did somebody take Romeo Dobbs? Oh, that guy. All right, that makes me need to think. Hold on a second. I guess it all depends. Seattle could also take Jadarian Price. I think I'm taking Jordan Mason, though. The other side of that coin, though, with Tony Pollard, going back to it, is if Kenneth Walker couldn't get it done there, why would Tony Pollard be able to? However, it looks like Zach Charbonnet surgery happened much later than it was supposed to happen. So that should delay his time coming back. This is a guy we have already 2 elite options. We're looking for maybe some more points at the beginning of the season. Maybe Charbonnet goes back down. Maybe he comes back. He's not himself. But we're looking for usable weeks from Tony Pollard. And then we're looking for these guys to carry most of the weight. Kyler Murray's up to 118. What I've noticed also about, and I'll probably use this to get a lot of my rookie bags because, rookies are variable. We don't know where they're getting drafted. And we don't know what their performance is going to be like because we have no contextual history in the NFL. So they're the ones you want to take shots on. And I'm noticing that the ADPs on DraftKings for rookies in general, maybe not for Kenyon Sadiq, are lower than they are on Underdog relatively substantially. Like, this is maybe pretty accurate for Casey Concepcion. Jonah Coleman's going 15 picks later. Mike Washington around the same. Maybe he's even like 5-10 picks earlier. Denzel Boston, like 20 picks later. Let's see who everybody's going with. This guy's got Jordan Love with no stack to be seen. Matt Stafford with no stack to be seen. Very interesting to take Matt Stafford with no stack. Now, Lamar Jackson could carry him, right? It could take him to the spot he wants to be, and this could just be to help him make the playoffs. But Matt Stafford is presumably, if you get to a final, in almost no way, shape, or form going to take you to number 1 unstacked. You're not going to get the first place finish with an unstacked Matthew Stafford. You could do it with Lamar Jackson if he was unstacked. You could do it with Jackson Dart if he was unstacked. But with this guy, if he goes off, either a Terrence Ferguson is going off, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, who probably should have been listed before Terrence Ferguson, all those guys would probably have to go off. And somebody is going to have Matt Stafford and those guys. So it'll be very difficult to somehow end up number one if you have an unstacked Matt Stafford. So contextualization of what kind of QB am I drafting and do I need him to be stacked? I need Joe Burrow to be stacked probably if I want to win. If I want number one. I need Justin Herbert to be stacked probably. Justin Herbert might run a little bit more, but Travis Kelce goes pretty early. That's heartbreaking. This guy, I mean, he's got two powerhouse RBs, but like if one of them gets injured, we can say that about everybody. It's reps. But on the bye weeks, he's going to lose points. He's got to make it to the playoffs. He's just got no real depth. George Kittle goes. We are gonna take Kenyon Sadiq. We need a tight end. This guy is the best athlete, better than Michael Jordan, better than LeBron, and we're getting him at 120. Now, the only issue for Kenyon Sadiq, potentially, will be landing spot. He almost played himself into too good of a role. I don't think he will because the tight ends don't historically go in the top 5 to 7. But he could have played himself into too good of a position where he's not getting drafted on a team that's going to be able to be that potent offensively. That's not going to be able to score as many points. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. He slid 10 picks past ADP. I need a tight end. Now, I only have 4 receivers, so I should probably be looking for another one. I don't really know how to rate Jalen McMillan right now. Oh, man. Again, at these prices on DraftKings. Wait, what's the news here? 2 extra days to discuss an extension. All right, so that's unimportant right now. Nothing happened with Dallas Goedert. At these prices, give me Jonah Coleman. Now, I would say that I'm probably a little bit behind on wide receiver. So I need to start actively making a push. I can, now that I've got my first tight end, I can relax unless I see a crazy value, I should probably wait on it. I need to get receivers. I've made up my RB room. I mean, I already had 2 guys. My RB room's probably set. I could probably go 6 RBs. Maybe I should. Maybe I will. I have theoretically 4 starters and 2 workhorses and 1 unknown. Denzel Boston goes 140. Speaking of guys behind the position, this guy only has 2 RBs. I don't know if... So on Underdog, you obviously have the badges that tell you how much people have drafted. And you're usually at this stage, there's maybe one team that doesn't either have a red or a black badge. So 500 to 1,000 drafts. Here, I'm very interested to see, because I feel as though there's a lot less knowledge, maybe it's just this draft again, in what the balances should be to make sure that you are covered and are able to make the playoffs. This guy's getting his QBs now. Like this guy, just wow. He's got 3 QBs and 3 tight ends through 12 rounds. So he has a total of 6 wide receivers and RBs. And you have to start at least 5 of them every week. So if somebody has a down week, what's this guy going to do? Chris Rodriguez going 148 now. I think that's fair. I kind of know players I want to target. Mike Washington's still here? I can't, though. Why would they do this to me? What's the news here? That was from March 11th. Mike Washington goes, thank God. I didn't want to have to deal with that. Brandon Ayuk, welcome to the team. And then we're probably going to go... Actually, I got to think about this. So we did not see Rashid Shaheed do a whole lot of stuff last year. They do have a new OC. I could also go Deebo Samuel. Shaheed goes. I could go either of these two guys too. I don't have a strong preference about where I want to end up between these three guys. Okay, Deebo goes. I don't have Drake May. I'm seeing a lot of first-round buzz for Omar Cooper, and if he goes first round, it's going to be late first round, which means he's not going to be a number one wide receiver. He's also not drafted high enough to show that he's the caliber of one. But he should be in a good situation with a lot of points, and if you have first-round capital, that's a leash. So I'm giving it. Now, we do have two rookie wide receivers now. Fortunately, we do have some vets with T. Higgins, Lad McConkey, third-year breakout, even though he had a first-year breakout. DK Metcalf, vet. Brandon Ayuk, I would say vet, but he's honestly just as volatile as the rookies. Because there's no... I assume he will because he likes money. But there is no guarantee that he plays this year. I should probably get a little bit more Mark Andrews. I assume... I mean, they didn't get anybody, and they don't have the draft capital. Actually, they could. They could go like a Jordan Tyson or Mekhi Lemon. Or Denzel Boston, or Omar Cooper. They could get any of these guys. But as it stands currently, and the Ravens have some other needs, Mark Andrews is probably the second highest target earner in this offense. And the tight end room is cleared out even more. Which really makes me... Maybe I should reassess my view on Mark Andrews. Because I have not taken much. I've maybe taken one or two of him. Through about 30-ish drafts. Yeah, I'm just click-clacking over here. All right, let's see. This guy finally got another RB with Tyrone Tracy. If these guys... If the Giants get... I mean, if he gets cut, that would be the best thing for him. If they get Jeremiah Love. Because they might. In which case, he's pretty dust. Not mad at this guy's team. Not too mad at this guy's team. So this is another example of where you probably don't need 3 QBs. These two guys will probably carry you. And you're sacrificing at other positions. You can only start one of these guys. My rule of thumb is if I take 2 QBs by definitely round 9, maybe round 10, but we'll say round 9. Round 9 is definitely the real cutoff. If I have 2 QBs by round 9, I'm not taking a third. This guy just has Drake May and a guy who maybe will play in the latter half. This is another example. Emmett Johnson going, I feel like 15, 20 picks later than underdog. This guy with 3 QBs again does not need that. And no stacks with CJ Stroud. So again, if he makes it to a final round, but I don't think he's making it out of this group. But if he makes it to the final round, CJ Stroud independently is not going to have 2-3 rushing touchdowns. Matt Stafford isn't. You have to have the other guys. Or you got to know something I don't, which they could. So right now, I'm probably looking at, again, my... Man, this is messed up. My running backs, I think, are solid. I've got 5 that I took early that I'm confident will have roles. Okay, I need a joker to sign somewhere. I'll probably go either Pat Bryant or not. DK, I feel like, is dust. We have Jordan Mason. What if we went Eli Stowers also? I think I'll take Tesla. They have no more Khalif Raymond. And Khalif Raymond took like 40%, 30% of snaps last year. So that's expanding the role. They did trade three third-round picks to get Isaac Tesla, so they probably have a vision for him. And their offense is so potent, but like week to week, he's definitely just a best ball play. He's just a best ball play. There is no way in hell that you can ever go into this season thinking he's going to have consistency. But he will have spike weeks. They've invested enough into him. They let go of enough depth. He will be there. I should do these a lot. Well, first I need an audience. But if I have an audience, I would let you guys choose between Eli Stowers and TJ Hawkinson. Because I genuinely don't know where I want to put these guys. I think I'll go TJ Hawkinson and just double down on... Actually, how much do I want to push tight end? How many receivers do I have? 7 receivers? Okay, so I'm kind of caught up there. So I think I will not take Calvin Ridley. He's probably dead anyway. And I will take an Eli Stowers. Actually, what pick am I at? 184? This is our final running back. I probably shouldn't have done that, but it's 20 picks past ADP. If they don't take Jeremiah Love, I have the Tennessee Titans backfield, which is probably not the backfield you want to have, but the key things that signify best offensive jumps for teams are either new quarterback, new coach, new offensive line. They could draft some people. They haven't taken anybody on the O-line in signings, I don't think. They got Wandale Bellinger and someone else. Anyway, they do have a new OC, which I think matters a lot. Now, was that OC fantastic at the New York Giants? No. But we only need him to be fantastic here. He was good as an OC before he was a head coach. This guy finally getting his 5th and 6th receiver here. In Marvin Mims and Calvin Ridley. The other thing is the 4th receiver he took is Jalen Coker. And maybe people are right. Jalen Coker should be in this range. His production has honestly been pretty solid. But I think a lot of people are remembering the latter half of the season and his playoff performance. Because before that performance, he was averaging well less than this 10.2 number. This propelled it to over the 10.2 number. So he's got kind of 3 Mickey Mouse receivers, even though I do love Jalen Coker, I do. He's got a boomer bust. He's got a guy who's kind of also boomer bust because he can only play against one type of coverage. He's just dropping a lot of points at receiver right now. And also, he needs Saquon and Jameer to perform every single week, which is why you draft them there. But if they don't, you have Tyrone Tracy and Sean Tucker. Those are the only, and now Tank Bigsby. Those are the only three other guys who all project to not get even 50% of the snaps. And if you don't have 50% of the snaps, they probably don't even project to have 40% of the snaps. And if maybe even 30% of the snaps. And if you don't have 30% of the snaps, you're not going to be scoring a lot of points. It is touchdown or bust. All right, so I'm pretty balanced, but I'm definitely looking at... I'm done at RB. I'm definitely just looking at tight end and receiver. Which ones are available? I don't really want Colby Parkinson. I don't feel like I like him. They've got so many tight ends. He's not necessarily young and ascending at this point. I mean, tight ends, I guess, can be a little older, so... Are there any wide receivers in here? So this is not a landscape I want to see, actually. All right, I'm up. Well... They're out of Mike Evans. He's so mid. What can he even... I'm going to take him. And I'm only looking to maybe get like 3 or 4 weeks from him. And normally I should be looking to take more weeks than that, but... Well, look, he did something this week. Okay, so maybe... Plus, Chris Godwin could get injured. We have a lot of injury history with a lot of these receivers. If he gives me 3, 4, yeah, that's 4, and then this is not a real week. But if he can give me 5 weeks of over 10, I'm gonna be oh, I'm back up. Huh. I have too many rookies, but I think Jeremy Bernard probably goes second round, and I don't think you could trade any of the other wide receivers on this list for a second rounder. If this is just telling me that he got released, yeah, that's it. Mike Washington's on it? No, great. I'm playing. I see, my issue, I need to probably balance a little bit more of the risk with the consistency, but when it's this early in the season, I'm like, I go such heavy risk because I'm like, these guys could pan out. You're going for the maximum upside shot. And if you're looking for the maximum upside shot, Keenan Allen unsigned, what did he do last year when he came in? When he got signed last year, and obviously it's going to be a little different now. At the end of the season, pretty bad. But I'm looking to get somebody who's going to give me usable weeks at this point. And he had 5 usable weeks. 2 weeks with essentially 20. 3 weeks with essentially 20 if we're counting this one. And 1 week with over 30. Right? So we did see the drop-off. We did see the diminish. But he still, last week that he played, had 13 targets. And we saw how much his value jumped when he got signed last year. Now, I need to still be looking at tight ends. We consider Terrence Ferguson. There is a long shot. There is a dart throw that LA, for some reason, in the first round takes Kenyon Sadiq. However, they have like 3 tight ends on their roster. They really don't need to do that. He ended the year pretty strong. And I remember him having, like, and this is something he needs to work on because if he does it again, it's bad. But there were like 3 or 4 different opportunities for like 30-yard touchdowns that would have either propelled these weeks or put more weeks into where we wanted to see him. Now, he had a lot of zeros. But he's a second-year tight end, and we do want to assume that he's going to get better. He knows the offense more. He understands what an NFL routine is. He understands what it means to get minutes and the things that the coaches value. But if we can't get him, we can always get Pat Freiermuth, who their offense should be better, so hopefully more opportunities. But he also is not fantastic. He had 3 weeks of over 10 points. So I'm struggling at tight end. I might go a 4th tight end instead of a 9th receiver. I think I probably even should. I think I will. If I look at my receivers right now, T. Higgins, Ladd McConkey, Carnell Tate, DK Metcalf. 3 through the first 6, although they're not the highest. 4 through the first 7, 4 through the first 10. Brandon Ayuk, Omar Cooper, Isaac Tesla. You see, he even had 4 weeks of over 10. Hopefully, second-year jump. And all those weeks of over 10 were after they basically benched Khalif Raymond. So the first half, they were playing a lot of Khalif Raymond and Jeremy Bernard. I want to trust these guys to carry me. And one of the reasons I'm more comfortable taking 4 tight ends, but I did take Kenyon Sadiq. One of the reasons I'm more comfortable taking 4 tight ends is I feel like the ones in this range are more likely to get touchdowns than the wide receivers in this range. And you can still flex the tight ends. You can still start up to 2 tight ends, where you can't do that with quarterbacks. However, all the tight ends are going. He's the only tight end they have, and they have so many other positions they need to fill. Oh, shoot. All right, I guess we're taking Keenan Allen. Oh, but I wanted to take 2 tight ends. What am I doing, bro? What am I doing? I'm going to take Max Clare. This guy, I think it was PFF who was charting it, like the quote-unquote athletic profile of what he did in games based on his speeds versus like all this other stuff, and it was in the 99th percentile. It was in the 99th percentile of tight ends during a season in games. So he's showing his athleticism in games, not just at the combine. And he's coming off of a light injury, I believe. And so with that light injury, he's not going to go to the combine. But if he was healthy at the combine, the projections would have been crazy. So I think if he has a pro day later, he's going to spike up. I think a lot of teams can see his athleticism pop and what they're looking for, and he should be fine. All right, so the final team. At running back, we have James Cook, Omarion Hampton, already set. Tony Pollard, Jordan Mason, Jonah Coleman, Tyjae Spears. If we're going to have 6 running backs, I had 4 through 10 rounds. I had 2 through 2 rounds. This is what I'm comfortable with. At wide receiver, we have T. Higgins, Ladd McConkey, Carnell Tate, DK Metcalf, Brandon Ayuk, Omar Cooper, Isaac Tesla, Jeremy Bernard, Keenan Allen. And at tight end, we have Kenyon Sadiq, Cade Otton, and Max Clare. So we're relying on rookies, which is not great at tight end. But we also are relying on some high athlete rookies. And then at quarterback, we have Joe Burrow stacked with T. Higgins and Justin Herbert stacked with Omarion Hampton, Ladd McConkey, and potentially any of the rookies I have, but also Keenan Allen. So we've got the stacks there. We have high-end RBs. We have 9 receivers with receiver depth where we still had 4 through the first 7 rounds. And then we're only maybe missing tight end, but if there's a position you want to punt, it would probably be tight end because we just need one of these guys to get a touchdown, and they're more likely to get a touchdown than everywhere else. Anyway, let me know if you liked Underdog or DraftKings more as a format. I'll probably be drafting on both of them regardless, but I think knowing what you guys want me to do is going to help a lot more. And then if there's any people that I missed, per usual, I'm dumb, bro. I'm not as tapped in as a lot of you guys, I'm sure. So any feedback that you guys have, either on how I'm drafting, where I should be drafting, or the players that I'm taking. Let me know. But thank you. Have a good one. If I can find my straight. Yeah, and I'm out of here.